Hey there, friends. Over the last day, a lot of people have asked my opinion about San Antonio Spurs head coach Greg Popovich and his comments on the Second Amendment. Before I get into that, I want you guys to check out some really good friends of mine, Falco Holsters. These guys are great supporters of my program. They also make this custom Kydex holster for me. This is a holster that we partnered together with to design and come up with a really unique inside waistband design for, I call it kind of an all-season holster. This thing obviously is a hybrid. It's got a leather backer, but the Kydex on the front of it, the position of the clips, the claw, a number of things on here, in my opinion, make this thing extremely comfortable to use, and I'm just a big fan of it. Go check them out at falcoholsters.com. Again, falcoholsters.com. We have a really cool gun giveaway that we're giving away right now that includes this holster and a SIG Macro X P365. Now back to Greg Popovich. Okay, this guy has always hated the Second Amendment. In 2018 or so, he talked about reassessing the Second Amendment as if you reassess constitutional amendments. Not how it works. In school, we learned these things. Some of us did. Greg appears to be older than me, so I would assume that they were still teaching civics whenever he breezed his way through school. I'm sure he had a meal ticket of some sort because he was a ball player. Let's look at some of his interview first. I'm going to break this thing apart a couple of times because watching it all the way through, I don't think I can hold my tongue for that long. So let's check some of this out.
In school, we worried if Nancy would dance with us on Friday after the football game or something. That was our anxiety. But they're going to cloak all this stuff, the myth of the Second Amendment, the freedom. It's a myth, it's a joke. It's just a game they play.
The interesting thing is Popovich here has the ability to utilize and abuse in some cases, but still use freely the First Amendment. He's saying that the Second Amendment is not freedom, or at least he's implying that. And let's just get this out of the way also. He's talking about his biggest fear was worrying about Nancy dancing with him after the football game or whatever. Nancy, be glad you got away from this guy. Thank God for Nancy not hooking up with this fool. But this guy, while he's using one of the Second Amendments, or one of the amendments, sorry, and is protected in this venue by the Second Amendment, because he is, this guy is tearing apart the Second Amendment with some silly logic that just because he says, is that freedom, that somehow it's not.
Is it freedom for kids to go to school and try to socialize and try to learn and be scared to death that they might die that day?
Yeah, we're trying to harden the schools, Popovich. Maybe use your platform to truly make our children safer. Because when you stand up here and you talk about a particular amendment that you simply don't agree with because you don't understand it, you simply don't understand it. But at the same time, you talk about our children being unsafe. You're not being honest about our children going to school and being safe and feeling safe if you're not also talking about hardening our schools. If your thought is simply to do away with the Second Amendment and allow guns to not be out there in honest, law-abiding people's hands to protect themselves and their families and their children, then you're not being honest about saving children. This is all a ploy by you. This is a way for you to garner some kind of following from the anti-Second Amendment side and maybe get some money. I'll be willing to bet that you're probably going to be on one of these Gabby Giffords posters or one of these Everytown for gun safety posters, because you're lobbying obviously for a position like that. Let's not forget, guys, this dude right here is in the twilight of his career. He's potentially going to retire. Do you see where I'm going with this? He needs a paycheck. He needs to continue getting paid. Because if his career is going away because he's lost it, then clearly he's got to do something, continue paying bills. That means he's either intending to go into politics or he's wanting to lobby for the anti-gun movement. Now, I'm thinking it's very strongly going to be one of each, because this is what he had to say about Ted Cruz, another politician, obviously in his state.
But Ted Cruz will fix him because he's going to double the number of cops in the schools. That's what he wants to do. Well, that'll create a great environment. Is that freedom?
Yes. Yes, that's freedom. That's exactly freedom. Because you put additional law enforcement in a school, if you're doing nothing wrong, you've got nothing to worry about. These children, if we were to poll them, would tell you, okay, will you set me up with A, no honest, law-abiding people can have a gun in this school, and we're not going to harden the school. What we're going to do is we're going to make guns harder to get, knowing full well that criminals will still get them. And that's going to be your first option, okay? Not harden the schools. Anybody can walk in the front door, glass doors on the front of it. It's just easy access. We're going to make this school easy to get into. No metal detectors. Anybody can walk in with anything that they want to, because we don't want to make this school unfree, like Popovich says here. We don't want to harden the school. We don't want it to appear like a prison, because we don't want you to feel unfree. Or option B is put more law enforcement in the schools, armed people, and potentially, maybe, we arm capable teachers. Not all of them. There's plenty of teachers I don't want anywhere near a gun, but we arm capable teachers who can utilize a firearm, and we harden these schools. We make them harder to get into, or difficult or impossible to get into if you don't belong there. Let's let the children vote on that. This is a simple multiple choice. We all know how we all like multiple choice pop quizzes. I hated one where you just had the line, you had to fill it in. Give me choices. I'll do pretty good on those. Let's give them A and let's give them B. Let's see if they choose the supposed more freedom or the quote lack of freedom from Popovich here, and see which one they choose. I would be willing to bet they will take a safer school and a frickin' heartbeat instead of some dude that skipped civics class and he teaches people to bounce a ball for a living. Let's not forget, guys, this is a dude who makes tons of money teaching grown men how to play a game. He said that the Second Amendment is a game, that like they're playing a game, that because we enforce and we're activists for the Second Amendment, that it's a game. This guy literally coaches people playing games.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.